Hello everybody, today I'll be going over a few more teams to help you guys get into Grandmaster or just in the higher ranks, to compete well, that I see a lot on the higher ranks. The first team, the main team that I use is the team that I see used by GM1 people, but like this one that I lost to here, since my cookies aren't as strong as theirs, aka I don't have a 5-star Shadow Milk cookie or a 5-star Pure Vanilla Ascended, I lose. But point being, this first team is generally the one that's the most frequently used in the highest ranks, and the other one aside from that is just the other one that I've seen that has thrown me a hard time. So starting off with the main team, and then we've got two variations for it. The main, based off the treasures. So the main team, we've got Burning Spice up front, Ascended Pure Vanilla in the middle, Shadow Milk as well, Snapdragon in the back, and then Fire Lord, Fire Spirit. I always call him Fire Lord. It's a cool name. Yeah, I think it's because the costume is called Fire Lord, I think. But then the treasures for this specific one, for the main one, we'll have the Vial of Raging Dunes, the Stopwatch, and then the Scroll. So let's go ahead and take a look at their toppings. So Burning Spice, he's a trickier one in the sense that you want to make sure he survives for a while. If he dies right away, you notice, then you want to put a little bit more damage resist on him. So I've gotten his damage resist up until around 40% is what I found was working well. And then I also have had a choice between two biscuits, one just being damage resist bypass and then one having some damage resist bypass with fire damage. Now I've had similar success, honestly, using either, but to keep it simple, I'd recommend just going damage resist bypass if you can. And then if your cookie's having some survivability difficulties, you can throw on some solid almond for the toppings. But in general, you're going to want to go all raspberry on the toppings. As you can see here, I've got 50% coming in from that and 30% from the toppings themselves. I made sure to be able to pull the toppings that had damage resist on them, which allowed me to only have one full almond to help them survive a bit more. So really just try to get around that 30% for damage resist, 30% for damage resist bypass or higher, around that 8% cooldown, and that'll generally get you where you want to go. So then for Shadow Milk, now I've tried two different builds and they both work fairly well. So I'll go over both of them. The first one is all solid raspberry, which just is really all attack as much as possible. A little bit around 8% cooldown. The reason why there's around 8% cooldown generally is because that'll, for the most part, get your move to either finish or start around the 1 minute mark, which is what you want to get because you want to hit the enemy team when you get the damage boost at the 1 minute mark earlier than they do. So for this one, for the toppings, you're going to want to go damage just around 20% or higher. If you can get it better without sacrificing the other ones, the better. Cooldown around 8% and then attack just high as possible. And then the biscuit, all damage is bypass. Now for the Swift Chocolate and the raspberry, it's the same biscuit, as much damage as bypass as possible. So then for the Swift Chocolate, we're just going to go as much cooldown as possible while maintaining that 20% damage resist. So really just the differences with the cooldown, you're going to want to go at least, as you can see here, my cooldown's at 33.7 because I got the 27 here, and then the cooldown 6% bonus. So really what you want to go to shoot for is around that 30+% cooldown rate if you're going for the Swift Chocolate. The reason why there's two different builds for him is because the raspberry, he does massive amounts of damage. So he can easier get through Cookie's shields and then be able to one-shot them or just hit them before they can get healed and fixed. While this one, the Swift Chocolate, allows him to use his skill more, which inherently also does increase his damage dealt in another manner. But more importantly, when he uses his skill, just like Fire Spirit Cookie, he's invincible for a few seconds. That is extremely handy. So play around with those two, see what works for you, and then, go with the one that does. So then for Pure Vanilla, this is an interesting one as well, that play with it a little, see what works best for you. But generally, to keep it simple, for the toppings, I go all full almond. And as you can see here, I do have a few HP toppings in there, and I'll go over that in a second. And then for the biscuit, I go damage resist as much as possible and cooldown. Now there is a damage resist max limit of 90%, which is why you see me have some cooldown on here. But generally for Pure Vanilla, he's been the part that I've had the most trouble with. I've seen other people's Pure Vanilla survive that initial damage, but most teams I come across, the Pure Vanilla does not survive the fight. He dies after he gets revived before the 1 minute mark because he's the one that gets stunned by Shadow Milk. So if you can get him to survive as much of the fight, that's the goal. That really is the goal. So by increasing his HP, I increase the HP shield that he gives out from his skill, and also kind of try to make him a little bit more tanky. So really, I'd go full solid almond to keep it simple with damage resistant cooldown on the beast kit. If we're looking at numbers, I'd say go for around 80+% damage resist, you know, as close to 90 as possible. And then that's really the most important thing. And then other than that, cooldown as high as possible. So Fire Spirit, the guy of the month, the monthly man, the man that has been really cooking it, and I really do like this cookie. This is going to be a unique build in the fact that it has the 3 raspberries and 2 swift chocolate. What you want to do for Fire Spirit is get him to use his skill as much as possible, because similar to Shadow Milk, he gets invulnerability for a short time. But he gets more damage resist bypass naturally on his skill completely than Shadow Milk does. Shadow Milk only gets it a portion on his skill. Fire Spirit gets it on his entire skill. So what you're going to want to do for the toppings is play with it around a little, see if all raspberry works better for you or all swift chocolate, but a mix is what works best for me. So you're going to want to go with high cooldown, around 30+% at least, also 25+% damage resist, and then from there as much attack as possible. You know, Fire Spirit should be one of the 2 cookies that survive towards the end. You know, it's either him or Shadow Milk cookie generally. Sometimes I have Burning Spice, but Shadow Milk and Fire Spirit are the ones that will generally win the match for the last ones alive for you. So you really want him to be able to get that damage in. And then Snapdragon is also just a straightforward one compared to the rest, because I do have 3 raspberry and 2 swift chocolate on there. But the point is, you want his cooldown to be pretty high, around 40% if you can get it, 35 to 40, and then as much attack as possible. Because he's a healing cookie, his healing skills off of his attack, and he has a very nifty special. So he's going to be the one keeping your team alive once it gets past that 1 minute mark, because pure vanilla will generally be dead. So then for the second team, it's just literally the same team, but instead of the scroll, it's the insignia of the Indomitable Knights. And then the reason why this team is so useful is because it substitutes the scroll, because at the second damage boost, once you get it at the 30-second mark, I think it's 400% off the top of my head, 300%. The attack boosts don't matter. You're gonna kill a guy if you get a good hit on him, or should I say knock them out. So the insignia of the Indomitable Knights logic is that it'll keep either Shadow Milk or Fire Spirit generally alive until the very end, until you can get that 30-second, then you'll be able to launch that attack and wipe out the enemy team still alive. And then for this one, the third one is the Holobarian Royal Necklace. This one is more surrounded around keeping pure vanilla alive. And on top of that, if pure vanilla can stay alive, the team survivability is much higher because his healing is strong. So those are the 3 variants of the same team. Like I said, I see this first one the most so far in my personal experience, but you know, play with it around, see what works best for you. So then for the 4th and final team that I've come across, it's going to be Golden Cheese and Rockstar instead of pure vanilla and Snapdragon, and then the insignia of the Indomitable Knights, Great Sage's Gem, and the Vial of Raging Tunes. So it's going to be the same build for the 3 main cookies. And then for Rockstar, you're going to want to go all crit. Rockstar is going to die at the very beginning. The reason why you want him to go all crit is because his skill gives a bonus based off his crit percentage when he dies. I mean, just when he uses his skill. And a crit percentage for the whole team, excluding himself based on his crit bonus from equip toppings. And then whenever he dies, he also gives off his Encore, which heals cookies massively. So he also gives just a boost in general to the team's damage. So I've seen him in multiple teams that in these high ranks that have done pretty well. And then for Golden Cheese, you're going to want to go as much damage resist as possible on the biscuit, and then all raspberry for the toppings, as much damage as possible. 20% damage resist is pretty good, but generally the big concept is as much damage as possible at that 1 minute mark. So let's go ahead into the battle. All right, so here we've got pretty much the same team. Let's go ahead and see what it's like. It seems like they've got a little bit of a higher star vanilla. This is pretty balanced. Let's see where this goes. There goes pure vanilla. RIP. Oh, he's back. There goes pure vanilla again. RIP. So it seems like it's going to be down to, his Shadow Milk and Fire Spirit take out my guy at once. Let's look at what really went down there. His Snapdragon healed more than mine, and his Shadow Milk did more damage. Seemed to really be the big one right there. All right, can't win them all. Well, there was one that I really wanted to show to finish up the video, even though I most likely won't win, and it is the GM1 team. So as you can see, it's the same Scroll, Whistle, Vial, Raging Dunes, a Burning Spice, Shadow Milk, Pure Vanilla. But as you can see, he's got them maxed out. I don't. So like I said, this is generally the most used comp. Let's see how this goes. I'm not overly optimistic, but I hold out a little bit of hope. He got rid of my team before the 1 minute mark. I can't believe that. That's crazy. A 4-star Ascended Fire Spirit. Oh man. Never ever was I gonna. Hey, mine did more damage though. Oh man, my Shadow Milk did more damage too. His Burning Spice did much more, which makes sense. You know what I mean? I'd expect them all. His Pure Vanilla is 16 million. Yeah, no wonder. All right, either way, those things happen. So that's it for this video, guys. If you have any questions, make sure to leave it in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know what else you guys want to see in the future. Thank you guys for supporting, and make sure to watch these next few.